Welcome to Monthly Money, where we take a look at someone's past monthly spending, the income that came in, and how that all comes together to meet their future goals. Today, we are meeting with Ryan. Ryan, how old are you and where are you based out of?
I'm 28 and I'm based out of Chicago.
Chicago. What do you do for a living?
I am a essentially business development. I work in sales.
Oh, very cool. What do you bring in a year?
Total all in with salary of 75,000 and then commission of about 45. And then we're also looking at some profit sharing at about another 8,000. So all in probably about 115, 120 a year.
Dang, that's awesome. How long ago did you graduate?
4 years.
That's awesome. Making $120,000 4 years after graduation. You're killing it. That's pretty sweet. So let's take a look at your account, see how your monthly money looks. First, before we go into that, what are some of your more basic financial goals that you're trying to hit right now? And what, if any, roadblocks are there to hitting those?
So I just moved to Chicago. Originally came from Michigan. And in doing so, the cost of living definitely is a big adjustment, including buying houses. I was looking at houses in Michigan for like 300, 325, and in Chicago, they're like 400, 450, to be equal comparison. There's also other cost of living adjustments that need to be taken into account. So I've been boosting up the savings and emergency fund to kind of compensate for that, and as well as saving a little extra for the down payment on the house so I don't have to take out as many points, or when that time comes, buying some points off.
And what are some of the roadblocks currently in the way, if any?
There's not much, to be honest. Life's been good. Life's been blessed.
And what degree did you graduate with?
I graduated with a sales and business marketing with a minor in econ and general business.
Very cool. And before, do you have any student loans?
Zero, all paid off.
And before the call, you told me you went to the same school I went to, Western Michigan University. Go Broncos!
Go
So
Broncos.
love to see another person, being really successful post graduation. We probably graduated. You graduated few years after my time there. So let's take a look at your checking account. Previous balance of 61,830. Wow, that's a balance. Deposits of 10,258. Withdrawals of 5,216. So only half of what was put in, with a current balance of 66,873. So is this where your house fund is? Why is this balance so big for a checking account?
Essentially, that's the everyday spending, right? I have money that gets deposited. My commission checks, the salary, everything gets deposited into the checking, and I essentially don't touch it. Honestly, the spending, which we'll get into, that's a little high for what it normally is. I went on vacation, so there was a little bit of fun. But other than that, no, it's typically held around there. If not, I'll take money out and invest into stocks and whatnot, in larger chunks at a time.
Yeah, it looks like for things taken out, an investment, Citizens Bank payment, online transfer to checking. That's it. That's all this card's used for. And then there was an ATM cash withdrawal of $203, but that's it.
Yeah.
So none of this is going to the home?
There's probably a little bit in there.
Okay.
It's not the basis, let's say.
Is this considered emergency fund then? Because this is huge. So is there a separate emergency fund?
It's just extra, right? It's when your cost of living is low and you live like a broke college student still, you really get to save up, and it's almost turned into a game where I want to see that number grow and grow and grow.
Why don't you grow it in an account that grows for you?
Essentially, it's again because I'm looking at buying a house in the next year. So I don't want to put it into the stock market because, a 5-year average, right, returns an average rate of return of 10%. But with only 1 year or 2 years, it turns into a little bit more risky.
Yeah, but I thought you said the vast majority of this wasn't going towards the house.
There's probably some.
How much is going to go towards the house?
Couldn't tell you. It all depends on what the house ends up being, right? If it's a $450,000 house, you're going to need $90,000 as a 20%, so you avoid the extra charges. So if I buy, say, a $300,000 house, it's only $60,000. So it all depends.
Okay. All right.
Things are constantly moving.
And then you use a credit card for
Everything.
for everything. Do you ever hold a balance? I can't see that on what you sent me.
I do not. I pay it off in the first of the month. My credit cards bills are quote unquote due on the 14th. So I keep my utilization rate pretty low so I can keep that credit score high. In doing so by paying off in the half month intervals, essentially when I get paid.
Okay. And well, the spending is definitely good within your income without even looking at this, but we can see what you do. Looks like you go out to eat a bit, went golfing, a good amount of bars seems to be favorite.
Yep, and a little bit more to that, right? I did have the girlfriend living with me over the summer. She's also from Michigan, so she moved out here to live with me, got a little job, but it wasn't enough to really save up. And I'm kind of working with her on preaching the values of saving money. And she lives at home with her parents during the school years, so trying to keep expenses low so we can help pay off her school.
But you're not financing her life, are you?
No.
Good.
No, but if we go out to the bar, I'm taking her out on dates and whatnot.
Sure. And yeah, that's fair. And really, there weren't even that many transactions here. There was just an expensive real estate agents and managers rental property management. I assume that is your rent.
That is my rent.
$1,500, not bad. Oh, it'd be nice to live in a cheap city like Chicago. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I wish that was lower.
Sure. And then there's your hotel for your little vacation. So again, really nothing crazy. So, I mean, I'm sure it's not required at all, but I'm sure if you wanted to get your home quicker, you could cut back on some things. But again, I don't think that's necessarily worth even like the quality of life sacrifice.
So there's a couple things I don't negotiate on. One is I go out to eat almost every lunch. Reason being is, as you can see, I really don't spend that much money on like a monthly basis. So it's just one of those things where I treat myself. And the other thing is when I go out, I get what I want, and I see things more of a income problem than a debt problem. So if I want more things, I need to make more calls, do more sales, make more money.
Okay. Yeah, I think I vibe with a good amount of that. What's interesting is you said you don't spend a lot. You actually spend a crap ton of money. However, that's not what's important. It's the ratio to the amount of money you bring in. You can easily afford this, so this is fine. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I could really wind it down. But at that point, quality of life, right?
Exactly, and I don't think you have to. So then we have something else. I'm taking a look at all your accounts together. So you have another checking account, and then a money market account, and then another savings account. So that all comes together to equal $102,505. Half of that being the checking account that we already saw. This house that you want to buy, how much do you want to put down, or are you trying to buy this thing in cash?
As much as I possibly can, right? At the end of the day, I hate owing other people money. I view it as a needless expense. So if I can pay cash, okay, I'll pay cash. But at the same rate, it also depends on the, what a 15-year fixed mortgage rate is. If that mortgage rate's under, say, 4%, then I'm going to put 20% down, pay the minimums, put the rest of the money into the economy and watch it grow.
Well, yeah, I was curious the thoughts on what if you only put 20% down in order to avoid PMI and get a good interest rate on a 30-year fixed, and then because the interest rate that you'll go into because you're not going to get a high interest rate. You won't go into it if you do. But if you get an interest rate of 4% or less, then it just makes more sense to have the rest of that money grow in like the S&P 500 or more real estate. What about that?
Yeah, no, my family owns a bunch of rental properties. I've been kind of dabbling in that market. I just haven't jumped in. They have, not me, they have discovered, quote unquote, the formula that works for them, has a high utilization rate on the doors, a high rent rate for the environment, and really a capitalization rate of, a decent percent. So they're always cash flow positive.
Very cool.
Was looking into that for a while, hence, some of the large savings. But then ended up saying, screw it, I'd rather not rent.
Oh, I would 100% always get your primary residence before getting rental properties.
Yeah. But
what's the price of the home that you want to get?
It all depends, right? It's in the current market where I'm looking at, I'd love to be under 350.
Love to be under 350. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm also looking at houses that would be, 3-4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and that's really hard to find in Chicago area, in a nice area, without being in the sticks, without being in the, cornfields, but also not paying an exorbitant amount of money.
You know what I would do if I were in your shoes? So this is what I would do, non-official financial advice, but if I was sitting over there, I would take 70,000 of this today and put 20% down on a $350,000 house, and then after closing fees and blah, 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 take a remainder 20,000, let that be your emergency fund, and then have the rest be in your checking account, probably another like $5,000. That's what I would do. I don't see a reason not to. Now, you might want to buy some points down in order to not be at a 6% interest. How's your credit?
Last time I checked, which was about a year ago, I was about 800, 780, 790, somewhere in there. And I had to get it checked because I was looking at buying a house that ended up not going through.
Okay. So, there's a couple thoughts. No one can say where interest rates will be, because some argue saying, well, the economy is kind of in a downturn, so they'll have no choice but to eventually cut interest rates in a couple years or so. There's that argument, and then there's the argument of, well, inflation's crazy, so they'll just continue to raise it, and who knows when either are going to happen or when either are going to stop. So I prefer, for any investment, to never time the market. So I would just do this now. You have the money. I would just do it.
I want to. However, I'm locked in a lease. And I also, quite frankly, I moved out to Chicago like 4 months ago, 5 months ago. So I don't really know the area.
Okay, that's very fair. I would definitely wait for the end of the lease. May as well.
I'm not gonna break a lease. And if I do, it's gonna be like 2 months beforehand. That way I have time to do all the paperwork, go through the bank, do everything, before I move in, do any upgrades, do any construction, paint the place, new flooring, new carpet, whatever I want. And granted, I guarantee you some of the money that's been saved up is probably going to be going into those home improvements.
Right, for sure. Okay. That makes sense. And then this Charles Schwab account that you have, what is this account specifically? Is this like a Roth IRA?
So that's neither. That is me playing in the market, investing in stocks, investing in companies that I believe in. I didn't send you my Roth IRA. I didn't send you my 401k. There's probably another large chunk in retirement for those. As you saw in my checking account, I max contribute to Roth IRA of $6,000 a year. And with my company, I do a 10% of my check every year. And they match up to a certain percent. I've done that ever since I started working. I was going to get your opinion on bumping that up into like 20% up until I meet the annual cap of $19,500 per person, and what your thoughts were on that.
Is the 401k Roth based?
Is it what based?
Roth based.
No, it is pre-tax dollars.
Then, so 401ks tend to have pretty high management fees. It definitely, I would look at what yours is, but if it is a pretty high management fee and it's not a Roth based system, then I would prefer to only put in what the match is and then put everything else in a traditional IRA. And then, once that's maxed, then yeah, I mean, feel free to continue putting.
Traditional IRA is already maxed, right? That's not going to change.
Okay, never mind then. Then yeah, go for it. Go for it. Or then you also have to decide, do you want to have rental properties? And if you do, then save for that. But if all you want to do is just put it in the market, which is totally fine, nothing wrong with that at all, then yeah, max it out. Why not?
Yeah. So question for you on your rental properties, did you save up the 20% for each individual house to avoid PMI, or how did you end up working those?
Yeah. Plus, unless you get into some weird loans, pretty much every good loan that is for a investment property will require 20% down. Again, you can get into some weird ones, but I wouldn't recommend. So yes, yeah.
And then you ended up cash flowing them from then on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're cash flow positive. One of them is about to get another tenant and meet my 12% cash on cash return, and the other one's already at that. So yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, beating the S&P 500. That was my main goal. So as long as I can do that,
Yeah. It's enough money to live on, and it's all passive income, right? Don't work a day in your life after that.
yeah, because yeah, exactly. Well, a rental property management company takes care of it, and then my 12% cash on cash return actually comes after their 10% management fee.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. So whether it comes, so for your question of maxing out the 401k, just depends, where do you want to invest your money? If you want rental properties, maybe you leave it at 10%, take the rest, and
Find another management company, find a money advisor, or a real, not a real financial advisor, but a professional one that can provide professional advice. Was kind of the other outlook.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely always a good move too. That's a good move for everyone. So, but that's what I would do in that situation. I would be more real estate focused because I just like rental properties. I do. And you can continue this brokerage account that you have as well. I don't know how well balanced it is. So actually, I don't know in there.
To be honest, that has just been the play money, and I've grown it. And I've noticed I've turned myself into a hot hands fallacy. So I'm looking at pulling quite a bit out before I lose it and take out my initial investment. So after that, I'm essentially playing with this market's money. It's not my money anymore, and making that money do other things.
If you do that and then you put that money towards the home you want to purchase, you should just go get a freaking home.
Yeah, put 50% down.
Yeah, like why not? And then, well, after you can break your lease, I mean, it depends. Some rental property companies are super nice. You're like, I want to break my lease because I'm getting the home. They're like, okay, let's just do it right now. Then some, they're like, oh, and then they fight you, and then it's credit
Fees, and you better pay everything out. And oh yeah,
yeah. So there's obviously always some contextual things that will need to be figured out, but other than that, that's just what I would do. Get the home, get in the market. Don't try to time it. That's the improvement I would make here. And then I think what you're saying about the play money, it makes sense to take that out. And if you want to continue to play with what the market has already gained, that's fine. But that's my thoughts. It's really nothing too crazy.
yeah, yeah. Well, I knew this would be an easy one, at least for you, and a little bit something different. I did take money out, which I don't. It happened after your transaction or me sending everything to you, where I went and invested it and kind of broke it apart in something called I bonds. Have you heard of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about those?
Well, I know they're performing really well right now. So, I mean, it's fine.
Okay. So I kind of looked at those and I took 10,000, which was the max you could do. And I even basically told myself, all right, so for the next 6 months, it's at 9.63%. The following 6 months, we don't know yet. But even if it's say zero, which it won't because it's based off the inflation rate, I'm still positive over what my bank account is. And even after breaking the terms, so it's a 5-year term, as you're probably aware, if you hit a penalty of 3 months of interest, I'm still up. So I get paid 9 months worth of interest instead of 12.
Right.
I was even looking at those and just saying, all right, every year throwing another 10 grand into it to try to round out the portfolio and hopefully diversify it and almost have that safe, quote unquote, safe money.
Well, it obviously depends, where they're at that time, where inflation's at, where interest. Yeah. So, but I mean, I definitely like them.
Yeah. Okay.
Any final thoughts?
No, I appreciate your time. Hopefully this was a little change of pace for everybody, and I appreciate you talking to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thank you.
Let Ryan know what you think about his financial situation in the comments below. And if you want to see things like this and financial audits happen live, feel free to join my private Discord, which is linked in the description below. And shout out to my 4 Cups of Coffee supporters: Abdul Martinez, Mark, Josh Bennett, Clayton006, Tyler Chong, Drew Smith, Timothy Williams, Sam I Am, Jason Spriggs, Nicholas Daly, Tom L, Jay Freedom, and Hans. 8 Cups of Coffee supporters making the dream come true: Joseph Strickland, Anthony, an anonymous supporter, and Sam V03. Subscribe and stick around for more. Thanks.